How's everybody? It's very exciting to have our players in the building, starting our offseason program. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do, installing a new offense, installing new special team schemes, new strength and conditioning coach, and Larry Jackson. But it's exciting. I think our players walked in the building. I think the first thing they noticed that a lot of things in the building changed, that looked different. And then there was different voices in different areas, and I think they're excited about that. I think to a man, they've all come back with the mindset: let's get better, let's go to work, let's put our head down and do what we need to do. And that's all you can do at this point. You know, this just starts the off-season program. We're excited about getting on the field when that time comes. You guys know the CBA rules, and we'll work through all those things. But to have all the players here in the building, with the exception of one, it's exciting. So we'll just keep working at it. And again, I'm just happy that all our guys are here and putting in the effort, in the classroom and also in the weight room that you need to. Corey White. Corey White's the one guy that is not here just yet.
How excited are you, Hugh, to start this with a quarterback who has won in the NFL?
I'm very excited. Just not so much just him. I'm excited Tyrod's going to be the leader of this football team first and foremost, but I'm excited about all the guys that we've been able to add to our football team through free agency, through trades, and then I'm very excited about the returning players because I see a little different look in their bodies. I think some guys have really done some work in the offseason. I think some guys have really committed to what they need to do to get better in year 2, year 3 in this process.
Winning starts now message, is that unique to this year because of what you've been through, or is that something you always say?
Well, I'm not going to say it's unique to this year. I mean, I think you go into every year wanting to win, but I think let's just be honest. This is where we are. We're a 1-31 organization over the last 2 years. I think it's time to win. I think our fans deserve to see something different. I think our organization deserves to do something different. I think our players should expect to be different and play different. So I think it's time. It's time for winning. Something I said to them the other day, being very honest, we've been through it for the last 2 years. Regardless of what that's been, I really appreciated their determination, their grit, their discipline to go out every week and do everything they could to win. Now it's time to turn some of that hard work over into wins. And I think to a man, I think they get that. And it has been tough, and it's been tough on all involved, our fans and everybody. But I see brighter days ahead for the Cleveland Browns organization.
I think that's a tough message to sell players, or with everybody who's come in here who's new. Do you think that really helps it?
No, I think it's. I think the key to me being able to sit in this seat is to be very upfront and honest with them, and tell them exactly what it is. I don't think you sugarcoat it. I think you put it out there, and I think those players knew it before they came here. And they were strategically picked to be a part of this because they can help get this organization to winning as fast as we can.
How important is it that it's so many key positions, you've added veterans, so that you're not going to draft guys next week and they're just going to walk on the field and start. They kind of have to earn their way up.
I think that's very important. I think young players, when they come to the National Football League, they don't know much about it. I mean, how could they? They play college football, and I think players need to have an example in front of them on what it takes to play in a National Football League and just the grind of it all. I think that's important, and I think that's how you learn. If the younger player becomes better than the veteran player, then so be it. But at the same time, you have to have a foundation at where to start from, and so we do. We have some veteran players here that know how to play, and I think that's exciting. And if we get guys that are better than those guys, then that's just part of the process.
Coach, what's it been like sitting with all these top quarterbacks that are available?
It's been exciting.
Do they sell themselves to you?
Yes, they do. I mean, again, it's an interview, for them, whether it was at the combine or whether it was pro days or whether it was, their individual workouts. I mean, I think all of that's an interview. I think, again, it's a unique group. I think we're still working through it. I'm sure you guys are going to spend some time talking to John on Thursday where you can dig into a little bit more detail. But I'm excited about the class. I think it's a good class, and we'll find out which direction we travel in next week sometime.
How many These top 4 quarterbacks, would you say, are legitimately still in the mix for you guys at number 1 or wherever you pick your top quarterback?
I think they all are today, Mary Kay. I think we have not settled on that yet. I mean, again, when I say this, I mean it. John Dorsey and his group, they don't come up for air. I mean, this is 24/7, 7 days a week, through the weekend. I've worked more on the weekends here than I ever had to be a part of this, and that's what John does. I mean, there is no detail that we're going to leave unturned, you know. So there's a lot of time being spent to get this right, you know, and I think I really appreciate what him and Alonzo and Elliott are doing, you know, in the room with our young scouts and our people who are helping and our coaching staff in order to get this organization the best players for the Cleveland Browns. And I think that's the way you have to do it.
I mean, what happens? How do you arrive at the general consensus of who your guy is?
I think once his process is done, I think we sit and we really, you know, talk through it. I think, and like I said, I've been in there every day. You know, I've been the one constant from the coaching staff over with them to see it all. And again, like I said, what John does, John's really good at what he does because, again, it's hard work. It's nothing more, nothing less. He just knows what it looks like, what it feels like, and what it should be, and his other lieutenants do too.
What questions, through everything you've been through, do you still have on these quarterbacks?
I don't know if it's, I'm sure, you know, once we get a chance to really sit down and talk about it all is, you know, what did you see? You know, where we are like, where we are part at, you know, and I think that's how you go about it. We haven't truly had that opportunity to do that yet. I still think it's a little early. Like I said, John is still finishing up, you know, the second or third or fourth or fifth phase of his process. I mean, the way they go about it, and you guys really should ask him about it. It's different, but it's really informative, and I don't think you have a chance of getting it wrong. And we all know that we might draft a player and things don't go right. That's just part of it. But at the same time, we have a better chance of making sure we make a right decision than a wrong one.
Your man at number 1, if you had to pick a quarterback today.
No, I don't. I'm the same way. I'm sifting through my side of it too. You know, again, this has been good for me to learn even a different way of looking at it. You know, so I go back, and myself and Kenny and Todd, you know, we've had great dialogue, great conversation, and I think we're all still going through it too. And there's times they want to pull me in, let's talk about it, and I'll say no, not yet, because I want to make sure that I'm sure. You know, I don't want to be, well, it's this one, well, no, it's that one, it's based on this. I think you need to really know and feel very comfortable about that decision when we get there.
Torn? Are you like really grappling between?
I don't think I'm torn. I just think I'm, again, going through the information. I didn't spend as much time here. I had some other personal things I had to take care of and tend to, so I'm kind of catching back up a little bit myself. So I feel good about where I am, and then when it's time for us to make a decision, I think we'll be ready to do that.
This is a unique class with 4 guys that you could all defend as being your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you have so many moving parts with Dorsey. You got a consultant, you got new coaches, you got new personnel people. How hard is it going to be to come up with a consensus that you could all embrace as your quarterback?
You know, Tony, I see where you're saying. I think that's a really good question. But I think when you've done all the work together, you know, I think when you've traveled to see these guys personally, I think when you've had them in the building and have had opportunity to see them together and talk to them and walk through what we think is very important as an organization and as a scouting department, what we're really looking for, I think it's going to be pretty crystal clear at the end what's the best player for us. And I think in order to do all those things, just like you said, I think first you have to have vision. You have to know exactly what it is you're looking for, and then you have to set out amongst that group of people you just mentioned to find that. And then I think you come to a consensus about what you think is right for the organization and team.
I'll ask this question to John on Thursday, but I want to get your thought on it. You know, going through this process here and all the stuff that's out there, we hear 3 common things: fit, talent, projections. Mm-hmm. From your standpoint, of those 3 things, what is the most important of those 3 when picking up a quarterback?
Well, probably I mean, I don't think that one's any more important than the other, because Tyrod Taylor is the starting quarterback of this football team. Okay, so that's first and foremost. So when you say fit, I think it's very important. When you say projection, I think that's very important because the guy is probably going to sit, and watch. And then talent. I mean, talent is everything, but it's not the only thing. So I think the three things you mentioned are very important as you go through it. And I'm sure, again, I'm not speaking for John. I'm sure he'll tell you that those things are too. But I think when it's all said and done, I think the organization led by John Dorsey is going to make a decision, on draft night on what's going to be the best way for us to travel.
Well, how hard
You
will, go ahead.
said you were confident that you guys would be able to come to consensus.
Mm-hmm.
What if that doesn't happen? I mean, is that the end of the world if
No.
you guys had different opinions, and then how does that
I think, no, I don't think so, because I think there's, I think you said it, I mean, there's a number of really good players in this draft, and I think in these situations you win your why. Why is this the best player for the Cleveland Browns? And I'm sure that's, when it comes down to it, that's what we'll do. And you have to be prepared to step up and win that and say why this guy is the best fit for our football team and our organization going forward. So, and when you do that, I think it gives everybody a calmness to where you feel like, I mean, okay, I understand how he's looking at this and why he's looking at it this way. And I think that's something that is so important as you go through these processes of putting not just quarterbacks, but any player on your team. I think you got to know what are you trying to get out of this player when you put him on the team? What's going to be the intended use? How are you going to have him perform? What's going to be around him? I think all those things go into it.
Mind when you see all these reports and hear that Josh Allen is your guy and a friend of Dorsey's has said Josh Allen is the guy.
Well, I try not to hear them all, but I do get some of them. I mean, everywhere you turn, that's what everybody's talking about. I'm not concerned about those things because I know what goes on here in the building every day. I talk to John Dorsey 3, 4, 5 times a day, and I think all kind of things get said. I laughed at that. I mean, when I say John Dorsey goes dark, he goes dark. I mean, whoever think they're finding John Dorsey, trust me, you're not finding him. So I think there's a lot of things that get said that I know that's not true. And if there was a consensus that John had have come to at this point, he would have told me. So I know that's not the case.
What will be easier to fix? If you're for you, if Sam Darnold's turnovers or Josh Allen's completion?
I think that's a question for another time. Obviously, we've dealt with all the guys on all those different things. Again, fixing those things, you got to have them, over a period of time to be able to say this is what you can fix, what you can't. I think obviously you just mentioned turnovers and completion percentages are huge things in the National Football League that lead to winning and lead to losing. So again, we will talk through all these things again here at the end when the time comes to make a decision for our organization.
From the outside, it looks like one difference in this process is while you've spent a lot of time with the quarterback, some of these other contenders for the number 4 pick have not visited Berea. What's up with that?
No, I don't think that's any message to anyone. I think maybe we know more information about those particular players, more so than others, and we feel very comfortable with what we know. I don't think it's not a good sign or is a good sign one way or the other. I just think we feel very comfortable with what we know about those guys at this time.
With Josh Gordon signing his tender yesterday, what kind of vibe are you in from him? What kind of mindset is he in?
He's been out. Josh has been outstanding. Again, we're continuing to take the right steps. He's continuing to take the right steps. Again, I think that's one of the biggest stories to me. I mean, here it is, the first day of off-season program, and we have Josh Gordon in the building working out with his teammates. That is a credit to him. It's a credit to all involved for us to have him here, for him to have the chance to sign his tender and become the player that we all know he can be. I think the future is bright for Josh.